We're going to start with a Fernandito.
What is a Fernandito?
So there is a liqueur called Fernet. And I thought I knew what it was, and it turned out to be just a minty apocalypse. Like it's like if the heat of 1,000 suns was minty. It's the burniest thing in the world.
But that's the thing you said settled your stomach, right?
Oh, it does settle your
right.
stomach. It's unbelievable.
It helped me the other
night. You even
night.
tried, like, if you just take, like, a little slip, like, not even half an ounce, just, like, a little tiny bit. It really does. However, Fernet, which I thought was, like, an Italian Amaro. I didn't think it was going to be what it was. Anyway, Fernet and Coke is the national drink of Argentina.
Oh.
So.
All right, let me try
this. Apropos of nothing. That's
the national drink? That is so pepperminty. That is I could smell it before I tasted it. That is weird.
Yeah.
So that's Fernet and Coke, you said?
Fernet and Coke.
That is weird.
Man, that is...
That's like dropping some breath mints into your Coke and letting them dissolve.
That is really what that is. Maybe the recipe a little too strong on the Fernet. Woo!
Okay.
It's unreal, although it really will settle your stomach. That mint bomb really does it.
Yeah, I guess we'll just need to keep it around for that.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not going to go bad. Nothing's growing in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought we'd start with a fun experiment, and it was, whoo, I feel like I brushed my teeth. Anyway,
in music land, we are on fire right now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so many songs are coming, and they're good. I'm so excited about them. I think we have like 10 good songs in the works right now.
It might be 10. Yeah, it really might be.
I mean, I lobbed 5 at you 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
That were pretty much, quote, done, meaning they're songs. They have a structure. They might need arrangement. They all need production, but they have lyrics, and they, like, all the parts exist.
Right.
And that's 5, and we already had, like, 3 or 4 before that, and then I just did 2 more today.
Yeah. So, let's talk, though, because some new stuff is coming out with you on songwriting.
Yeah.
For one thing, we sort of have a different system than maybe we've...
We talked about that last week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then we won't talk about it this week.
Sorry. But I've been telling you about some things that I'm realizing going on in my head when I write. So I find that I have a couple of main, like, I don't know, modes. I'm going to call them modes, like the way my brain can work when I'm writing lyrics. One is the one I used to use most of the time in old writing, most of which I don't like. It's kind of preachy, it's kind of direct, it's very on the nose. It's like, what do I want to say? Okay, I'm going to write sentences that say that. And it's very not artistic. But my brain, being predominantly a logical functioning brain, as opposed to a creative functioning brain, that's where it goes most easily. And I don't like it, but that's my default.
Right.
But I have another mode that I can access when I'm in the right mood. Sometimes it takes a drink. Sometimes it's just the right day. And that's where I do find the metaphors, and I find the roundabout way to say things. I find the more poetic ways to say things. I find the stories that tell the stories rather than the facts that tell the stories.
Wow, that's a powerful way to say that. I hadn't thought about it exactly that way. That's a cool...
Yeah, I'm finding myself able to identify when I'm in, I'm going to call that logical mode, like first mode.
Right.
For shortcut. And the creative mode that comes up with more vague lyrics that can be interpreted by more people. I'm going to call that mode 2. So I can identify more easily when I'm in mode 1 now and be like, nope, you got to make a switch, man, because all this work you're doing is going to be for naught.
Is there any overlap between mode 1 and 2? I mean, let me ask the question a different way. Can you put together a framework in mode 1 and then come back in mode 2 and make it artistic?
That's a great question.
I'm going to guess that's not currently really what's going on.
Well, I think when I'm arranging and I'm getting the shape of the song, that's probably more mode 1, like logical work. But when I'm looking for words, when I'm trying to get lyrics, mode 1 doesn't serve me well.
Yeah, right.
I come up with just not nonsense. It's not nonsense, which is the problem. If I could come up with more nonsense, I would write better songs.
Right. It's more, well, as you said, yeah, it's just more on the nose. It's more straight ahead. It's more obvious. Yeah. Do you think, I'm just peppering you with questions here, but do you think, is there something to it? And the answer might be no. Is there something to it where it's more about doing more showing than telling? Because you mentioned the idea of the story that gets the point. That's not it?
That's still a logical way of thinking. And that's a songwriter class way of thinking too. It's like, don't say, I woke up and I missed you. Say, the bed was empty and the pillow was cold.
You're so right.
And that's still a logical way to think.
Yeah, and that's so hacky.
I have to like, it's kind of like not looking straight at the sun. I have to kind of like close my eyes and look sideways out of the corner of one eye and look for the words over there.
Right.
That's the way it feels in my brain.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too because I have no connection, or very little connection to my writing process. It's not really a process for me.
You just toss stuff out. You're just like, you do nonsense words, right?
I do nonsense words. I do...
You're playing along on your guitar and you're like...
Blah, 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 blah. Right.
And then they might turn into words.
And they might turn into words or you might have to put them together. Or, you just... You search for a feeling, and then once you catch the feeling, like, away you go, and I can't finish a song that way, but, like, I can get pretty far into it, or I can get the bones of something down. Yeah. Even lyrically.
I've written from feelings, or tried to write from feelings quite a bit, and my problem is that I don't have a point of view. Enough of a point of view to say something.
Oh, okay.
And what has really come into focus this round of writing is I am trying to figure out my point of view pretty early on in the song. So I'm not just spewing and grabbing random words out of nowhere and being like, well, what rhymes? What do these words put together say? No, I'm starting from the, like, what do I want to say? Right. And then I generate a bunch of words and thoughts and feelings and pictures and random stuff based on what my point of view is. And then the song that's coming out has a point of view. It's not determined by rhyme.
And that is not determined by rhyme. So often we do let structure or what should be kind of constrain, our creativity. I mean, probably in any field. But gosh, I say so often to people, it even comes up in our songwriting class. I mean, point of view is the whole thing. I mean, at the end of the day, your original point of view, and we all have one. I mean, it's just like you have to have one because you're the only person in your head. So we're all seeing things differently. Yeah. And at the end of the day, your point of view is the only thing that is especially valuable. I mean, there are people who are very talented and very whatever, but, that original point of view and stuff is, which I was saying the other night to you, I've always respected that you've always been very strong on the point of view thing, where it may not have gotten into the writing as much as you wanted, but like you knew what you wanted to say and you knew what was authentic. And I think there's a thing for artists sometimes where they come up with their brand and their point of view, but it's sort of almost like they sat down and thought like, what should my, well, I'll be this guy, and well, I grew up in the South, so I'll be kind of country, but not too country, because I also want to say this, and it's kind of a concocted thing, which is fine, and I'm sure there are people who are very successful that have that concocted thing, but you also have that purity of just kind of, this is exactly real what I'm trying to say.
That's interesting that you have always seen that. And that's great to hear, because I feel like I'm getting more real now.
Right.
Let's see. What songs do we have going on? We've got the one I showed you tonight, which it may, I mean, some of these aren't going to make the cut, I'm sure, but one of them is sort of like a parody. It's like a sarcastic parody song about singers who just want to be famous.
Yeah. Right.
And then I have another one that is definitely not going to get played live, but I might produce it and release it, which is I'm going to use the word humdinger of a
I
don't think I've ever used that word before.
Gee golly.
Gee golly. Gosh, I don't want to throw anyone under any buses, nor do I want to reveal too much, but it is about intimate relations and how they can be pretty bad. I'll just leave it at that, and it's a heart-ripping sort of song that I'm not going to make my male band play.
Which, yeah, and I don't think you want to pull any punches on it either in terms of like commenting on it. It just needs to be what it is. And on the other hand, I feel very comfortable writing from different people's point of view. Like not that I'm not like some big, best songwriter in the world or anything, but there's songs that I have written for you and for you to sing and written all the lyrics and the whole thing. And I don't find that harder to do. It's maybe even easier than writing from my point of view, for me.
That's interesting, and it makes sense to me. First of all, it makes sense to me because you understand people very well.
Well,
because you're
maybe
very empathetic and observant. But also, I'm imagining myself trying to write from someone else's point of view. Other people seem much less complex than we seem to ourselves. Like we have an image of who someone is and what motivates them, and whether we're right or not, we simplify.
Right.
So that probably makes it easier to write from our perceived point of their view.
Right. Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, and in another sense, it just becomes like acting. You're like, okay, I'm this person, and this is my motivation. As I always say when we shoot music videos and stuff, what's my motivation?
Yeah.
What's my backstory? Why am I standing
Why
on
am I
this stage?
rocking on this stage? How exactly am I going to rock on this stage?
Yeah.
Should I rock like extra hard or just a little hard?
Who is my character? Does he have like a troubled relationship with his father? Is that why he's playing the guitar? It's just goofing around. It's just being goofy. Although I will say it's so great when you catch a little bit of momentum. My advice I always give to anybody who's a creative, when you are on one of those hot streaks where ideas just seem to be coming fast and furious, my advice is don't let yourself get bogged down too much in perfecting any ideas. I mean, you have to like dial in and like, let me get really the spirit and the essence of this thing down so it's there. But at the same time, when you're on a hot streak, like just keep the ideas raw. Get it down enough that it's down.
Yeah. That's another thing I've gotten better at this round of songwriting, which is recognizing when it's time to put a song down and move on to another song or give up on a song. I am switching back and forth among different songs much more quickly than I used to, because I used to be so productivity oriented that I didn't want to let a song go until it was done, as if that means anything, and
it really doesn't. And it really doesn't.
So now, as soon as I feel like things have slowed down on a song, or I'm a little stuck on something, I'll maybe give it one more try, and then I'm like, nope, this one's done for now. That particular muse has left the room.
I think that was one thing that was a really helpful thing with No Address is as much as my old band No Address would take sometimes a couple of years to write a song and would just keep drilling it. We also had a really keen sense of like, let's just go what feels like easy today.
Yeah.
And if you go through it a couple times and it's just not happening, well, today's not the day. And it's rare with a band to get 5 guys in a room who can hold enough different pieces of songs in their head to where you can like pick stuff up and put it down quickly. But at the same time, having that ability to do that and go just like, hey, why don't we try that one again? And if it starts working, great. Let's pounce on it. And if it doesn't,
Yeah.
and,
With 10 or more songs in the hopper right now, it's been easy for me to come to the computer and be like, which one of these do I feel like working on right now? Rather than when I only had 2 or 3 going at a time, and I felt like I have achieved nothing, so I need to finish one of these damn songs.
right. And you're just trying to catch that magic where it just like an idea really captures you in the moment.
Yeah.
And maybe it's an idea you've revisited 20 times, but just you keep revisiting it, and one of the times it really it captures you, and you're in the moment with it. Yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited for some of this music to get out into the world and so on and so forth.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is time for a plug, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a songwriting class going on right now at Performance High. Let's see, the second session out of, I think it's 7 weeks, is actually going to happen, oh gosh, is it Thursday nights? Yeah, it's going to happen, I think, Thursday night. It's with Joe, it's not with you. But, if this has inspired you to dust off your songwriting chops or start songwriting, Joe is a great coach, and this is an online class, so it's really convenient. Just check performancehigh.net for more information.
I would recommend it. Joe is going to be great.
He's done it a lot, too.
He's done it a lot.
Yeah.
And
he's a published songwriter,
and
too.
such a great teacher and great guy. I would recommend it highly to anybody.
Cool.
Just knowing Joe.
Another class we have going on right now, I'm going to plug a second thing, actually, is Intro
Okay.
to Live Sound is going on right now.
It is going on right now.
This is, meaning it's open for consumption at your own pace.
So
right
these are online courses.
Well, the one with Joe is online live on Zoom.
Right.
But
it's a
fixed
scheduled
time.
thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Intro to Live Sound is a pre-recorded thing. You can go through it at your own speed. I think we talked about it. But that is currently open. Mm-hmm. And I'm also currently available. If you get the course and you're going through it and you have any questions, you can, of course, reach out, and I'd be happy to explain anything I need to explain a little better.
Kelly just signed up for it this morning.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because she came home from her worship service and was like, oh my gosh, the sound was so bad, I need to learn how to run sound.
Yeah. We've talked about it. It's so much easier than...
Yeah.
As all these things are. We talked about pop choir just the last podcast.
Right, because we had just had the first performance.
On my mind, the through line being courses and stuff at Performance High. I was so thrilled to see the new way you guys are going to run pop choir this time around.
What about it thrilled you?
Well, the genius of having one weekly course that's happening in downtown Denver and then one that's in Broomfield.
Lafayette, actually.
Okay, Lafayette, yeah. They're not different.
Up north.
Up north. They have more Burger Kings than Chipotle. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, having both of those locations is so great because it lets people who might live more up north go there. And then, of course, people from down south or downtown Denver itself can go there. But then, as you were saying, people can also, I missed, they're going to be doing the same songs. And then at the end, those two locations and those two classes are going to come together to all perform together. So if you miss your Denver class, but you can make the Broomfield class on Sunday, you can just go rehearse with them. Mm-hmm. And it just gives everybody the flexibility of a couple different things. And then it's going to make it so much easier to have such a bigger pop choir.
One guy had so much fun in this first round that he's signing up for both. He's going to go to both locations every week.
Which is also great.
And he didn't even expect to like it. He was skeptical. I think his teacher talked him into it. And then he was like our biggest fan by the time the thing was over.
Yeah, no, and it's so... But the leverage you're getting with having the two locations and then bringing them together for a big rehearsal before the big show at the Oriental. Yeah. And gosh, and at the Oriental, they've got plenty of stage space. So I would not be surprised if a ton of people don't sign up for that.
I hope so. I mean, it's just plain fun. And we worked out some kinks the first time around. We got feedback from everybody. We handed out surveys and are taking into account what people said for the most part. You can't please everybody with everything, but
no, but
you know.
I think it's going to be well, and it's such a fun thing too that it is a choir situation, but it's pop tunes.
Yeah.
You know, which boy lend themselves to the choir thing a lot more than I would have thought they would have. You know, it's an interesting, you know.
Well, coming from a cappella in college, I'm not surprised.
Well, that's fair.
It's just
that's
parts,
fair. Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah, no, that's very true. When I think of choir, I always think of, you know, dusty old choir music, you know, and all the standards, or maybe some old rock tunes that are like, well, that's a great tune, but it's also 50 years old and like, you know, which is fine. I'm not saying anything about older tunes. Anyway, I was just thrilled that you guys hit on such a, you may have a hit on your hands.
I hope so. It's, you know, anything starting up is a bit of a risk, and I'm taking a little bit of a risk. You know, we're paying for rooms,
right?
You know,
that's
both
true.
places. So, but just seeing how successful it was the first time around, I think this really is going to have some legs. Yeah.
So, gosh, what else is going on?
FoCoMx is coming up, the Fort Collins Music Experiment, and we are playing at that with Cody, and I am also playing at that at the after party for it with Pamela Makala, so I get to go up there twice.
Is that Saturday night you're doing the?
Sunday is the after party with Pamela.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't heard
So
about that.
that'll be fun to be a part of that. Remember, Adrienne did that way back when. Do you remember?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, we were upstairs in some. I think it feels like it was upstairs someplace at some restaurant or something.
It was, yeah. Boy, they all blend together. They don't at all, but
I remember it very clearly.
Few of them. Yeah. So, and ironically, I've talked about it a million times on the podcast. Ipecac getting very close to finishing their EP. It's been a real labor, and we're playing at 6:15 or something, and they're playing on a different stage at 6:30.
Oh my gosh.
So it's that classic thing of like you never get to see your friends play because they're,
oh my gosh,
you know, we're always all playing, and as it turned
Right.
out, you know, but they are doing, Alf Kremer is doing 45+1. I don't know if it's a special event for FoCoMx or if he's back doing that. Hopefully he is back doing that, and they're going to do that with him. So it's
Cool.
great to see that.
Wow, Ipecac is doing 45+1 with Alf?
Yeah, they are doing a Beastie Boys song.
Are they all playing with him?
I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing a Beastie Boys song.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've worked out all the raps or...
So if you don't know what 45+1 is, it's a 45 record, vinyl, and then one person, that's why I'm wondering why the whole band is doing it, one person can play or sing or do it, whatever they do over that 45.
Right.
So he has these all, he has them all in a YouTube playlist. I did one, yeah. And I picked, I don't remember what instrumental. I mean, he has this somewhat esoteric, some are not, but some are esoteric, old tracks of, they're mostly instrumental, but old tracks of all kinds of different songs.
Right.
And I picked something that I could manage to sing Alive by Sia over. I mean, totally different chords, different structure.
Right. That's right. I do remember.
So, you know, I just figured out how I could time it, and I sang.
I don't think I went to that, but I think I remember you.
It was at Syntax.
Okay,
Music
yeah,
Opera.
I definitely did.
So that's why I'm, you know, most people like will like do a guitar solo over it, or if they play the flute, whatever. I mean, they can rap over it, or they can add percussion. So how a whole band does 45+1, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, and
Maybe
apparently we won't get to see. Yeah, no, it won't be one of them. They're pretty one for all.
Oh yeah,
all for one. Yeah.
Right.
You know, although again, Alf, the nicest guy. We were just telling the story.
Right.
Don't even need to get into details, but we did a show as the old Adrienne, and the people that were going before us went over their time
by like an hour or an hour and a half.
Maybe an hour and a half. I mean, they went like more than double over their time.
Yeah.
They were just not, and of course, no need to, you know, whatever. And so we were just standing around, like, waiting, like we were supposed to be on an hour and a half ago. And not that I know Alf or know him well, certainly we've met a few times, but literally like 2 or 3 years later, he came up to me at a show and was like, hey, by the way, I'm really sorry that went over so badly. That was very unfair to you. You know, it was out of my control or whatever. And I was like, that's unbelievable that you remembered that and went out of your way to say something that much past the time. I mean, even at the time, I wasn't mad. It was just like, you know, but it wasn't like, you know, it happens, you know. And, but, yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
So, FoCoMx, but I have just been in the studio. It's been so
You've been
much
working hard. And now...
between your stuff.
There's a lot on your plate with my stuff now, because I'm wrangling the songs in. I'm not trying to write more new songs now. I think we've got as much as we need, and then some. So the next step is getting them all demoed.
And I guess we should say our stuff, too, because, you know, so often, you know... And I like, you know, I may even start suggesting this with people that I work with as a producer, outside clients and so on. I think there's something to a lot of the way we've been working on these things is me creating musical ideas and track beds, and then here you go right to that. And I think that could be something that could be great for outside people that I work with, where it's just like, let's get a vibe going. Let's talk about, you know, stuff that a singer's into, which is exactly what we do. Yeah. Or what you're into right now, at least. And then, you know, I can create some musical tracks and give them to you, and you go away and write on top of them. Or sometimes I have a melody idea, but, you know, I leave out, you know, who knows? It goes a bunch of different ways. But, yeah, it's been an interesting experiment. So, yeah, I guess we should close this one up. Let's just say this one's sponsored by Performance High.
Performance High Voice and Music Studio, and
Fernay. If you want more mint than you thought possible in your mouth, Fernay. Fernet.
That drink is like a York mint dissolved in a glass of Coke.
I have no idea what the practical purpose for this stuff is. I can't.
We're just going to save it as medicine.
I mean, I guess if you wanted to strip paint but also have it smell like peppermint, I don't know what it is. I so thought it was going to be something good. I don't know. But it does settle your stomach, so that'll be good to have around. So, yeah, for the good people at Fernay, we appreciate it. All the mint. All right, guys.
All right, I'll see you next week.